Thank you for joining us. I am Paul Wilson, and this is the Hooked on Diesel podcast. I am joined today by Tony Burkhard. Tony, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And Mike Brown. Mike, how are you?
Just fine, sir.
Excellent. Mike, this is literally the day after Ultimate Callout Challenge 2025 ended, and you wrapped up a phenomenal performance. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, sir. We ended up coming in fourth. We had a drag pass of a 572, hit the dyno at 2612, and pulled, I think it was 310 feet. So ended up putting us in fourth place overall.
That's a good UCC.
Good solid. Yeah. Good solid numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was kind of it. It was a step up from everything we done last year all around, and just the competition all done better too. So, and like I said, put us in fourth, and I'm happy with that.
Give us a little bit of background here. How many times have you competed at Ultimate Callout Challenge?
This was my second year. Yeah, last year was the first one. We ended up coming in third place. We made 2,400 and something on the dyno, ran a 606, and pulled 290 feet, I believe is what it was.
Okay. Wow, you made serious improvement on every single stat then.
Yeah, that was the goal, was just make an improvement all the way around, and like I said, that was me and my team were happy with that.
Okay, solid. What about your truck? Tell our viewers and our listeners here, describe your truck.
This year we got a white regular cab, like 2006 Dodge. It's 4-linked in the rear. Still a full frame truck, but 4-linked in the rear. Has a fiberglass front clip. Everything still has a dash in it. It's there, but it's kind of gutted inside, and then has door panels, carpet, single Kirky. Still a 48 RE, anteater controlled, from Firepunk. 6.7 deck plate. 400% flux injectors, dual extra G pumps, pretty well. It's got lightweight brakes front and rear on it, and it's a new build to us. We put it together, and I bought the truck in September last year, and we started working on it in January, and kind of threw it together in the last 4 or 5 months, and been playing with it, still trying to work all the kinks out. But platform should go really fast when we get it done. Just needs more playing with it and a trans brake.
It kind of seems like that list never ends. Is that about right, Tony? It doesn't matter how far you've gone with the truck. There's always one more thing it could need.
Makes it a little bit better, a little faster, a little easier to work on, never ends. And sometimes you think you're going 2 steps forward and you're going 3 steps backwards, but
yes. Definitely.
Mike, I've never met a UCC competitor who has a lot of experience on both sides of the field with sled pulling and drag racing. Do you feel more comfortable going fast or playing in the dirt?
Definitely feel more comfortable playing in the dirt, doing the sled pulling. We've done that a lot more. The last 2 years at UCC hasn't worked out in my favor great. We hit overdrive last year, and the truck kind of fell on its face, and then this year we loaded an anteater file just before the hook, and it hit lockup a little too aggressive and fell on its face. And both cases, just feed a bunch of nitrous to it, and it comes back. So, did the best we could with what we had.
I can appreciate.
He's a junkie. He's a junkie.
Yeah, definitely. So,
I love that. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, we brought 15 bottles. We planned on using them.
I like that attitude. That's a good way to approach it. With the sled pull experience, that's always one that seemed odd to me. I think you two are probably two of the very few that go to UCC with more sled pull experience than drag race experience. How has it been getting into going fast?
For me, it's pretty scary. Like I just, sled pulling, there's not a lot to worry about. Fire is your biggest concern for the most part. You ain't got to worry about wrecking, flipping anyone else. You don't have to worry even if there's another competitor or anything on the track that's racing against you that, you got to worry about their vehicle staying in their lane. It's pretty much just you and, making sure you stay out of the crowd. So the drag racing side of it's a little more scary. Want to make sure I've got all my safety stuff. We bought a bunch of bought some parachutes and all this stuff and never needed them, but we had them just in case. And It's tried to buy the best brakes we could and everything to stop. It's easy to buy the shit that goes fast, but buying the stuff to make you stop is a little more difficult, or a little you don't want to spend the money on it, but kind of need to.
Yeah, it is funny. Stopping is always the last thing to get modified on a drag truck. I think just about everybody would agree with that. It's how quick can we get down there, and there's a lot of runway.
Yeah, that's it. We'll just stay on quarter-mile tracks. We got plenty of shutdown.
So there's a big difference in your safety. Safety with brake lines in a pulling truck. No big deal. You're going to hit a dirt pile or something, right? But if you have a broken fitting on your brakes on a vehicle on the drag strip, it's deadly.
Yes, it was a big difference. My wife was more nervous with us drag racing than sled pull, dyno, any of it. Like that was, the worst part for her. And watching us, we were at the track when Turbo Tom had his accident, so that kind of you think about that every time someone goes down the track and everything, and try to be as safe as you can with what you're provided with. And accidents do happen, but try to do everything we can for it not to happen.
Yeah. I hear that. Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I would guess here, at least at UCC, is an isolated event. Much more damage and carnage happens on the dyno than anywhere else. Really, there hasn't been too many dramatic things outside of that. Tell us a little bit about your dyno experience this year at UCC.
This year it went pretty good. We were trying to, chasing 3,000 just like everybody else, it seems. We had had what we thought was good. We'd made 2,000 a week or so ago at Fire Punk on a little less nitrous than it had ever took before. We picked up 200 horsepower on fuel only this year, and through our testing, and felt confident. Got on the dyno, and we loaded a tune-up in it, and we had nitrous coming in at 50, 60, 70 psi. 3 kits coming in, at 10 psi increments, and we hit it about 3,500 RPM, and Cody hopped in. We smacked it. We made 2016. Torque number was like 2,500, so we kept torque down. Everything was happy. I got greedy and wanted more, and it cost us kind of in the end. It was one of those, we let the truck cool down, pulled the data log, everything looked good. Everything hit where it was supposed to, and it was, let's hit it lower and hit it with more. So we dropped it to about 3,200, turned on another kit, and turned everything else on at one time. So you had 3 315s turning on, 3 315 nozzles turning on at the same time, plus a 136 on a button, and it went really good till it didn't. At about, I think data log was right there around 5,000 RPM, 4,800, something like that. It come apart. We spit an intake valve out the intake, and it blew the shelf off the side of the intake. Had a big indention in it where the valve tulipped and come out.
Oh
and sent the charge pipe through the hood and out in the crowd, and made the banner, or not in the crowd. It went over the dyno and made the banner disappear on the side of it. And there's a pretty good video, and you see the banner just completely disappear instantly. Yeah, and then like it looks like you think that the pipe hit it, but hell, the pipe hadn't even come out of the hood yet. It's just the air from all the cylinder pressure just smacks it, and it just rips the banner straight off the side of it. And then you see the charge pipe come out of the hood and dance around and everything. And I think Cody thought it hit him, and then we went back and looked, and he just hit his head on the A pillar. But it was pretty good. It just made a big boom. It happened about 192 pounds of boost. We'd made 180 the previous run with the 2612. So somewhere between 180 and 192 is a safe spot. We'll try to find it better next year. So yeah, it was kind of one of those. I mean, I wasn't mad about it. It was, it sucks, but I made 200 horsepower more than I ever had before. I knew, our team could get it back together, and we had parts, so wasn't super concerned about it. We'd get it done.
That's so wild, man. Okay, so for damage being damage, it's not as bad as it's gone for other guys on the dyno with Tony.
Yeah, no, that's kind of it. Yeah, no, I didn't have as bad as Tony, man. I didn't. Yeah, luckily our shit was over, quick, done. Like, I don't even think there was a fire. They sprayed some shit on it, but it was pretty good. Like I said, it was, all went for a failure. It was as smooth as it could be. I said, I mean, we could buy fiberglass. The pipe wasn't messed up. It worked pretty good. So,
remind me again, what was your final number?
I'm sorry?
Your final number, what was it?
Oh, 2612 is where we ended up. Yeah, that one, it blew up. Like the horsepower number on it was about 18 something. I think is where it ended up when it come apart, or what the dyno last read. But the 2612 was where we kept that number from the original pool. So that's kind of what it was. It was a gamble, and we didn't gain anything, but had to spend a whole bunch of hours fixing it.
Tony, what were you going to ask?
No, he just talked about the practicing on changing valves and fixing piping. That's just you got a little more practice in there.
Yeah, that's it. We definitely did that night. Like I said, we all, by the time I got back to the tent, the guys was already had it all, coming apart, valve covers, rockers off of it, figuring out what the deal was. We had a spare motor that was still in a running truck that, we'd brought just for, to sacrifice it if we needed to. So it was we needed to make the call. Do we patch what we have or yank the motor out of a running truck? And so we need to get the head off as quick as possible to make that decision in order to be prepared for the next day. So we got the head off of it probably, from the time it blew up to the head being off was probably an hour, and got it all apart and, surveyed the damage and, started sourcing parts. And the pistons were pretty banged up. Patrick Brown, Moonlight Diesel and Fab, he was tenting with us, and he spent probably an hour and a half with the die grinder cleaning up pistons. And, we lost a couple points of compression, but hell, it still starts and runs. So, we rocked it.
So that brought you into.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that brought you into Sunday. I'd imagine with some questions going out. I mean, after all of that, and I know anytime you touch the truck, there's always a question of, well, what got fucked up when I touched it? We've all been there.
That's kind of
You get out on the track. Walk me through what your Sunday was like.
Sunday we got up. Of course we were up till 4:00 in the morning. We got the truck running that night. About 2:00 or so, we got it running, and then done our hot retorque on it, let it cool down, kind of finished putting some stuff together, looking at it, make sure everything went good. Got a few hours sleep. Went to the driver's meeting. Went through, done our drawing on it. I was the last one on the dyno, and then I was the second one to pull, so it kind of gave me damn near the least amount of time to repair, compared to anybody. But it worked out. We got it together. Got pushed around there too. We pulled the truck around there to it. We put Truxus on the rear and our graps on the front. Had our hitch and everything already set up from our dyno event, and then went out there, went to sled pull and made our hook. We picked the right side of the track. It seemed like it was packed a little tighter than the left side. Left side seemed like it kind of pumped when you walked over it or anything. It was real soft. We went and did what we could. The truck hit lock up and kind of fell on its face for a second. And looking back and looking at the videos, we should have let out. I didn't realize we were that close, or that we were still within the 100-foot mark where we could have let out and had to re-pulled, but we didn't. And like I said, we hit fed a bunch of nitrous to it and went as far as we could and ended up at 310. So that was improvement from last year and still considered a win. And the truck's still loaded on a trailer this morning, so that was even better.
That's the most important part right there. Where did that place you? What place did you take for the sled pull?
Oh shit, I think we're in 4th, 5th, maybe. I can't remember on that one. Hang on, I'll tell you. But I have to look back at my notes. I think we're in 4th or 5th. It placed us better than I thought it would be. We're in 4th in the pools. Sorry. So it put us in 4th for that.
4th in the pools.
I knew we'd already done the math, to beat Josh. Josh ended up winning. We knew to get ahead of Josh, we were ahead of him in the points on as far as racing. And on the dyno, he made, he smacked 3,100. So that was a big number, put him, way ahead. And to even touch that, we'd have to put 35 feet on him. So pretty much the only way to get in front of that was Josh to break. So, kind of, that was where we were with that, and kind of wherever, just watched as everyone else, Chris and the rest of them, Tim Moore and stuff, and, see where everyone ended up, and just, keep watching the points and figure out where we fell. And like I said, it ended up being fourth place for us.
That's extremely respectable. I mean, what a kick-ass show, especially for only second year there.
Yeah, it's second year, man. I'm still.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's second year. I'm still like I work a day job, have my, like I'm a normal person. I work a day job as a mechanic and then do all of it at night and stuff. So I'm very happy with where we ended up. For just some rednecks with some tools.
What do you think about that, Tony? Do you think that's a good way to approach that UCC mentality?
Yeah, we I say we really like to see the garage built trucks, right? They don't have quite all the resources and all the manpower, but it seems like they have a whole lot more buddies to jump in there and help, than it is for a shop build. Shop builds, we have more resources, more space, and we have to pay everyone to help us work on it.
Yeah.
There's a toss up. There seems to be a difference too in that, like 2 years into already be in fourth place. That's not common. Just if we go back and we look through people's experience coming to UCC, there's a lot of guys who have been several times and never made it in the top 5, right?
Yeah,
very respectable.
Absolutely. What are some of the things that you changed from last year to this year? What are some of the things that you think helped you gain that type of ground?
One of the biggest changes that we planned on and had hoped it helped more was we switched platforms, went from a mega cab dually, it weighed 7,100 pounds in race trim, and then we swapped to regular cabs and it weighed 5,200. So we knocked about 1,900 pounds off the chassis, and then went to a 4-link from the old leaf springs and everything. Had hoped that would help more than it did. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough testing in and really needed a trans brake to take advantage of the weight and power. We weren't able to hit the tires hard enough at the starting line to really get it going. So most time on the foot brake, where it would roll out about 2 or 3 foot and then it would really take off. But we'd lose a lot in the 60 foot. So we ended up we'd run a 576 at 135 mile an hour, which was really good mile an hour, but the ET just wasn't there to put us in the points where we wanted to be.
Right. Okay. Does that get you kind of geared up for next year? Are you thinking wow, I'm going to spend all my time at the track this summer and next year I'm going to be on the podium?
I definitely want to spend more time at the track. Want to do the trans brake setup in it. I think that'll be one of the main things for it that'll help this truck, get faster. On the dyno, we're actively talking. Was already talking yesterday, trying to figure out what we're going to do. As far as the engine turbo setup to, pick up a little more if we can, or either pick up more or make it where we don't have the same issues that we've already had. And anything can happen at that level, but we want to try to again prevent anything that we can. And then, sled pulls, we'll still hit all the sled pulls we can. I don't know that I will with that chassis. Just, the 4-link and everything, it's kind of more geared towards racing. It does have full frame, so we can still, we've got some bars that go in front and rear on it and everything, make it where we can sled pull. We'll probably still hit some of our local stuff, but we'll probably try to leave most of that to the dually and, just use the regular cab to go screw off in, as far as, racetrack and dyno events.
I love that. Yeah, it's a tough choice to make.
Yeah.
Which one do I want to go
definitely
play it? I hear that.
Yeah.
Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Is there anybody that's been a big help or a big influence as you've gone through this this insane goal of UCC?
Oh, yeah. For one, Patrick Brown, Moonlight Diesel and Fab, we would not have finished without him. He jumped right in and started on all our stuff. As soon as, he put his truck to the side and jumped right in on helping with our stuff. And, he didn't work on his at all until mine was done and ready. And, we could not have done it without him. And, that was one big one. Don and April, Flux Diesel, they were there all weekend. They keep us fueled, make sure everything's good. Air Dog. Kyle with Hot Shots. We got Nick at Fluid Damper, always takes care of us, checking in on us, throughout the weekend, make sure everything was good. We got Reaper traction bars. They set us up with all our bars. We got measurements, and they made sure everything was super nice, worked, never bend any of them. Take care of them great. Everyone wants to talk to me. Sorry. And then who else we got? Gosh, that phone. Sorry, Keaton Samples, SPF Fab. He's a buddy of mine. Again, like Tony was saying, I've got a whole bunch of buddies that all are good at one thing or another, and we kind of all go together and make it work. And just couldn't do it without all of them. Like I said, we had 10 people that all jump in and do what needs to be done, and I don't have to micromanage them. Don't have to tell them what to do. They just automatically hop in and get it done.
That's awesome.
Thank DHD, because Maury overnighted us a set of axles like Friday before UCC with the holiday and everything. And we got them Tuesday morning and got them installed because we broke axles in testing, and that was very great of him. It would have been very easy to not answer the phone at 4:45 on a holiday weekend, on a holiday Friday, and tell me good luck.
I love that. I love hearing that. I know that's definitely a highlight for DHD and for the crew to be able to help somebody out like you in that situation.
Definitely. Maury and them swung by and helped several times. We borrowed some like the HD clamp sleeves and stuff from them, and Maury was awesome. I had competed against Maury last year when he ran his truck, so it was cool to see him again and pop in and out of the tent and everything.
All right, guys. This is a tough one. We had such an awesome time talking to Mike Brown. And then the new software we are testing out for this show to be able to do remote interviews and things like that is proving to be less than desired. So we were really hoping that this would be nice and smooth, but we're running into some technical issues. No big deal. Listen, just like anything else, we're going to work out the bugs. If we need to change softwares, we're going to change softwares. We'll get this dialed in. We'll get it dialed in pretty quickly for you guys. I have more interviews to come with other UCC competitors. Fairly certain we're going to get, at the very least, I've already talked with Chris Patterson. I've already talked with Cody Hawk. There's a whole handful of other guys that we've reached out to, and we know we're going to get on the line and we're going to have some conversations with. It's also, I'm 2 days after UCC has actually ended. So a lot of these guys are literally still in their trucks, driving home. As you saw with Mike here today, this is how dedicated he is. This is how cool of a guy Mike Brown is he literally is having his wife drive so he could be on the phone with us and do the interview with us, which I could not be more appreciative for how awesome he was about the entire experience. So big shout out to Mike, big shout out to Chris and all the other guys that I've reached out to. Definitely stick around the Hooked on Diesel podcast. We're going to have the absolute best interviews. We're going to have the people who are making the biggest splashes in the industry. And we're going to get them all roped in and get them up here so that you guys will have audio. And again, if you're listening to the audio on your podcast app, that's awesome. We love it. Hey, if you ever get bored and you want to check us out on YouTube, we'll have all of these up in a video format as well. So you can actually watch us and see my amazing facial expressions throughout the entire show. For today, once again, I'm Paul Wilson. This is Hooked on Diesel, sponsored by Dirty Hooker Diesel. Thank you so much.